Yo, what's going on? Mike from Mike Talk Sports. Let's talk about my favorite player in the 2023 NFL Draft today, Deonte Banks, the cornerback prospect coming out of Maryland. Deonte Banks is a 22-year-old senior coming out of Maryland. He's 6 foot tall, 197 pounds. He's one of those rare prospects I genuinely don't care what he does at the NFL Combine. I don't care what he does at his pro day. I don't care what his testing numbers are. He's that good on film. His film is so definitive to the point where, again, throw away all of his testing numbers. But just in case you guys are curious, he was graded the nd1 prospect in terms of his athleticism out of this entire cornerback class. Per NFL.com, he had a 4.35 40-yard dash time with a 42-inch vertical. Absolutely incredible physical tools at the combine. And those physical tools really do show up so definitively on tape, and it really showed up at Maryland immediately. He was a really good high school player coming out of the Baltimore area, and he started right away at Maryland. He ended up starting his last 8 games of his freshman year and never turned back. He was the #1 corner for Maryland basically every single year he was at the program. A quick backstory on how I discovered Deonte Banks. I was watching the Maryland versus Ohio State game, and me, among a lot of people, were of course zeroed in on Marvin Harrison Jr. And Deonte Banks was really shadowing Marvin Harrison Jr. that entire game and had some incredible reps on him. So I went, damn, who's this corner who's doing really good up against what is arguably the best receiver prospect in college football right now? And of course, again, it was Deonte Banks. Going into some of his strengths here, the first thing that really will pop out to you when you watch Deonte Banks, it's that press coverage skill. His off-the-ball agility on press coverage is absolutely incredible. He matches guys step for step, and he can completely delete a guy from a play. His play strength is incredible. We see this not only in his press coverage, but I will talk about his tackling ability and really his run stopping ability later in this video. But again, his play strength and his hands really come up when you evaluate his press coverage skills. He really does do a great job at bodying receivers completely out of the play. Then coming out of the press coverage, the rest of his athletic profile really comes to head. His agility and change of direction is incredible, and that top end speed is good enough to keep up with any receiver at the next level. He's a prototypical guy like a Jalen Ramsey, where you look at guys with the speed size combination of a DK Metcalf, of an AJ Brown, and you go, well, all the fast corners, the fastest corners that can keep up with these guys, they're not strong enough. Then the guys that do have enough strength to outbody or just kind of stay in the realm of strength with a guy like a DK Metcalf, they are not fast enough. Deonte Banks is that rare cornerback prospect that has the size, speed, athleticism profile to keep up with the top #1s at the next level, which is something I absolutely love about Deonte Banks. Something that's really also really worth noting, shout out Maryland. Why do I say shout out Maryland? They did such a great job of really having a significant amount of responsibility on Deonte Banks' shoulders. Deonte Banks not only was the #1 cornerback in this defensive scheme, but they really allowed him to play every single coverage in the entire book, not only man coverage, but zone coverage. His zone instincts are absolutely phenomenal. That's something that really also jumps out on tape. He's never out of position in zone. He can play verticals. He can play over the middle. He can play the flats. Again, great in man coverage as well. That press bail and that press jam is very good on tape from Deonte Banks as well. When watching tape for really any position, it's so difficult to gauge what the communication line is going on in the game. Of course, you don't have audio of on the field what they are talking about, but Deonte Banks is a very rare prospect in the sense that he's consistently communicating out there. Deonte Banks is a guy who really early in his NFL career, he's going to be wearing that cap captain. I can even see him being one of those rare guys in the secondary that actually calls the plays for the defense. Why do I say that? At Maryland, he was consistently pointing. He was consistently talking to his teammates, not only pre-snap, but post-snap as well. And really not only having himself in the perfect position in the zone and in a man coverage, but having his teammates being in a perfect position that really sets up the defense. He really does have that rare it factor in terms of the communication, in terms of the football IQ. And when I talk about it factor, every corner that has that it factor, again, I think a corner with an it factor comes in the NFL once every couple of years, so it's a more rare thing. Every corner with that it factor has that cherry on top. What's that cherry on top? The great tackling ability. Deonte Banks, make no mistake about it, is the best tackling cornerback in this entire draft class. He's always so downhill and he's always so physical. In a different life, I think Deonte Banks would be a pro fighter because he's that physical of a cornerback. So if you guys could not tell already, I'm in love with Deonte Banks as a prospect. I will touch upon one negative that is pretty prevalent in his tape, and that is his ball skills. His ball skills aren't bad per se. I think it is something that is very coachable, and I think by week 4, week 5 of the NFL season this year, in his rookie year, this is something that I think it will be at an adequate level, and I think 2-3 years down the road, he will get very good about this. Again, I do think he does have that it factor and that high football IQ and that high coachability, but again, it is his ball skills and phase. He doesn't really get his head around on deep balls. He doesn't convert a lot of interceptions because of this as well. So again, when the ball is being thrown 50 yards down the field and he's in one-on-one coverage on a go route or a post corner, some concept like that, a lot of the times he'll fail to get his head around, which at the college level wasn't too big of a problem for him. He didn't give a lot of big plays up, but at the NFL level, you're going to have elite ball winners that are going to be able to catch the ball over Deonte Banks' head when he doesn't turn his head around, and that will result in some penalties at the next level, but that really is the only negative on Deonte Banks' tape, and even then, again, I do think that's something that by the time his rookie year is really at the halfway point, I think he'll be at an adequate level. So all in all, Deonte Banks is one of those rare prospects where I go, man, I'm so jealous my team doesn't have him. When Deonte Banks gets off the board, I'm going to be really excited for him, but at the same time, I know it is a 1 in 32 chance that my NFL team is going to draft him, so he most likely will not be sporting my favorite team's jersey, which is so disappointing because whoever gets Deonte Banks is going to get an immediate press, lockdown corner in any scheme, in any system. He could be one of the best zone corners in the NFL, and he could be one of the best man coverage corners in the NFL. This is extremely high praise, and I love Deonte Banks, and I'm very excited for his NFL career. Let me know who you guys think is the best corner in this NFL draft class.